Welcome to this Tutor to You Sociology topic video examining the work of Paul Willis on education. In our previous videos on Marxist views of education, we've examined the work of Althusser, Bowles and Gintis and Bourdieu, who approached the inequalities in education from a more structural viewpoint. In contrast, neo-Marxist Paul Willis opted to examine the impacts of the education system from a more micro viewpoint in order to understand the motivations of individuals from working class backgrounds in the education system. Willis's aim was to understand whether students saw themselves as the victims of the education system, whether they were passive puppets, or whether they demonstrated agency in their behaviours. Willis used an ethnographic approach in his research, Learning to Labour. He used a wide range of different methods, including unstructured interviews and non-participant observations, to study a group of 12 young males from a working class area of the Midlands. Willis noticed a distinct difference between the lads, the group he studied, and other students who were called ear-rolls. Willis observed the behaviour of the boys to be anti-conformist, rebellious and against the school ethos. Smoking and attempting to attract the attention of girls was more important to the lads, and status was rewarded for these behaviours. Playing pranks on teachers and skipping lessons was also acknowledged by higher status. In his analysis of the observations and interviews he conducted, Willis noted that the lads had subverted the norms and values of the school and opted to give higher status to manual labour than academic achievement. This can be argued to be a failing of the socialisation of education to pass on the myth of meritocracy, as the lads empowered themselves by declaring the lesser option in the school's eyes to be their preference. They made active decisions to have careers in manual labour, with the immediate rewards it offered, rather than to buy into the ideas of social mobility and hard work. This contradicts much of the work conducted not only by functionalists but also by Marxists, who had suggested that there was a form of false class consciousness that controlled working class students and made them docile workers. Willis's lads appeared to be aware of this indoctrination and chose not to partake. Willis's research can be applied to contemporary education, as anti-school subcultures continue to exist in the education system today. Recent concerns over the achievement of working class males in particular can be linked to Willis's ideas, whilst recent links between anti-school behaviour, exclusions and youth crime can be analysed using Willis's research. It can also be suggested that prevalence of anti-school subcultures in modern education can lead to teachers subconsciously attaching negative labels to working class boys, which impacts on their underachievement. While Willis's research was groundbreaking and remains important, particularly as a criticism of more structural approaches, it's not without its limitations. Methodologically, the use of qualitative methods has been criticised as it has the potential to develop the Hawthorne effect, whereby the lads acted up in the presence of Willis to gain status from their peers. Furthermore, it can be argued that Willis romanticised his accounts of the boys, seeing them as working class heroes, impacting on the objectivity of his accounts. A second issue is the extent to which the boys demonstrated free will. Whilst Willis observed the boys in their final year, the impacts of the previous structural forces are unknown. Did the boys choose to fail, or had they been subjected to the impacts of negative labelling early in their education, and choosing to fail became a defence mechanism to preserve their self-esteem? Finally, it can be argued that the cultural reproduction models worked in the case of the lads. While they dismissed ideas of social mobility and meritocracy, the working class lads still ended up in working class jobs, with the end results being similar to ideas proposed by Althusser, Bowles and Gintis and Bourdieu. However, a significant element of Willis's research was discovering that the lads refused to become indoctrinated and therefore demonstrated agency despite the end result. That concludes our look at the work of Paul Willis on education. Thank you for watching.